brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor, and tonight we are here with Alex. Alex, how you doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are also here with Andy. Andy, how you doing from the good old Natty right now?
Whew, I'm doing great, Trev. Wednesdays are my favorite day of the week.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we are here with the episode 4 recap show. Let me tell you, there's some snakes in the grass tonight. I mean, what do we have to say about tonight's episode? I'm kind of shocked. I cannot believe, I thought they had the strong bond, the Young Bucks Part 2.0, and I mean, snakes in the grass. What do you think?
I mean, overall, I don't think it was the best episode. I think it was maybe average, slightly below average. Because the challenge wasn't on last week, so it's been 2 weeks since we had an episode. And the week before that, I think we hardly remember recapping the episode. But I mean, I thought overall it was like, as we were watching it, we were like, we still have a fucking hour left. Cause I felt like it took forever. Wasn't the biggest fan of the challenge. And the challenge also just went really quickly. So I felt like there was just a lot of like filler stuff. The elimination last half hour, I thought kind of picked it up a little bit, and we'll get into that. But overall, I would just say middle of the road.
Well, yeah, I think the one thing we have to bring up is we literally finished, and we're both on the East Coast. Literally, the challenge ended at 8:32 Eastern time. 8:32. So we literally had an hour until like the full elimination was kind of like the last 15 minutes or whatever. But this was the first time this season. I mean, we had a good chunk of drama, but it didn't even seem like it was so unnecessary drama. And I don't know if you got that vibe too. We'll get into it. But like the Jay versus Josh thing was just completely out of nowhere. And kind of like even earlier in the episode with the whole Amber and what's his name? Devin. Like that was just like, what's going on here? So yeah. So should we just dive right into the episode? Or what'd you think, Andy?
Thanks, Trev.
All right, let's go.
I think this. I'm gonna go ahead and make a prediction. This is probably gonna be a bottom 3 episode for me of the entire season. I was not a fan. I had the challenge itch so bad because we didn't have one last week, and I just didn't really like this one. I thought when you have a challenge that only one team can complete, that's not a good challenge in my mind. So I was very underwhelmed with all of it. There was drama, but when Josh is involved with that drama, I hate that drama. So, yeah, I was not a fan.
Yeah, for sure. So, yes, we are live right now on YouTube and Periscope. We see some familiar faces already in the chat. We got Mikey the Doctor back at it again. We got a brand new face, Nice Guy 101 in the chat. So he's giving us a hello, and we'll give a shout out right back to him. Quick to jump right into Mikey the Doctor's comment. This whole episode seemed like a filler for the main event. Absolutely could not agree with you more, Mikey. Like we said, I felt like there was like that 45-minute gap that was just, they were just, trying to get 90 minutes worth of content out there. And it brings us back to bring back the 60-minute episodes for me. I'm a big 60-minute guy. And people also forget back in the good old days, it was only 30-minute episodes where you could literally fly through the episodes.
Trev, let me add on to that because I don't know if CBS All Access has all of the challenge for all you diehard challenge fans out there. So I'm going back through. I just finished Duel. I think I'm on Gauntlet 3 is what I'm watching. I mean, I'm watching so much, it's all blending together. There was an hour-long episode that they had a challenge, an elimination, a challenge, and an elimination all in an hour. And I just thought to myself, that was awesome. And then you get something like this these days, and it just was insane.
Well, that's the thing. And like you said, I mean, 60 minutes for that, we don't need I would rather see them do that and cut the season from 19 episodes to like 9 episodes, and even 10 if you give us a reunion special, and just start pumping out more content of the challenge. Like bring out a new season. I don't know what's going on with this. Maybe one of you guys can put in the comments, but like the whole "we want the OGs" thing, it seems like that's actually getting the ball rolling, and that actually is going to happen. Which, I mean, who knows?
I think I saw Alton link to that. of all people.
Some might say we might get Alton on the show. I know he's been very hard to get. I think on one of those podcasts he said he was going to be on, but it was kind of like a catfish or something.
We'll get into that.
So let's dive right in. The episode kind of starts, Devin returning to house, King Devin coming back, acting like he's a god. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, there is a few things before the challenge actually started that we got to see in the house. Usually you only have maybe one, maybe none. But the first thing I think was the whole, and we saw it kind of as foreshadowing for later in the episode, was Fessy and Tori. I mean, that was just like it wasn't a shocker because I think there had been some rumors and stuff. Obviously, we saw that Tori and Jordan split up. But I mean, that was just like so interesting because obviously, like Fessy mentioned, the fact that they were both on last season, but they didn't talk at all because Jordan was there. Tori cheated on Derek Heisman Henry to start off this whole thing with Jordan. So, is Tori eventually going to get engaged to Fessy and then cheat on him with somebody else?
Stop it.
Season 40?
I mean, who says no? I mean, it could happen. I don't think it will happen. But then again, I didn't think Jordan would happen. They were all over each other in Dirty 30, and everyone's like, nah, he wouldn't do that. That's not, the type of person Jordan is or anything. Sure enough, he's proposing to her 2 seasons later. So, I mean, anything's possible. That's a strong team. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, if they ever came out with a challenge baby, I mean, that is definition. You want that baby in a hog row.
Can we quickly? I have a question. If you guys know the answer to this in the chat, feel free to chime in because I just want to make sure we have it right. But one of my favorite factoids is always who is the longest active challenge couple. And it was for a couple of years there, Jordan and Tori. Obviously, they're split. Is it now Cara and Pauly?
It has to be. God,
Got to
be a couple. Like, I mean,
and the thing is, I think who's up there too is probably Zack and Jenna, even after their several splits.
African Bumble.
Like from the most recent time Zack and Jenna got together, I would say they are maybe second behind Cara and Pauly. Because, I mean, these things just do not last with these people at all.
I mean,
no.
Who was it? There's somebody, whoever it was right before Tori and Jordan had it for a long time. I think Brad and Tori.
Before them, it was Ashley and Dario. Don't sleep. They had it forever. What about Brad and Tori back in the day? I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, they held it for a decade.
They held it for a decade. They a long time. They held that, and then I think it was Dario and Ashley who overtook them. And
then I think it turned to Jordan and Tori.
Yeah, but I don't know who's officially now. It's got to be.
I think it's
Cara. It has got to be Cara. Has to be.
Right? God, what a terrible couple too. I mean, they are both just the worst.
Which couple do you like better, Cara and Pauly or Cara and Abe?
Next?
Cara and Abe. That's
Whoever's
just a
next.
couple. You gotta love that.
Abe is nutty.
What about? Is number 3 maybe in terms of active Cam and Leroy?
Ooh, well, off and on.
It's been a year, but that's the point. These things just do not last.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like you have to go back to like the high school timelines when it comes to these relationships. Because if you date someone for 3 months in high school, it's like, oh my gosh, you're going to get married. And granted, some of us come from high schools where that actually is the case.
Wait, sorry to interrupt, but Jesse Adams, I think hit it on the nail on the head. You mean Cara and the cousin Jamie? Absolutely, that might be the longest. That's our winner tonight. Bananas and Morgan.
That's from the logo.
Wait a minute. No. It was okay. So Bananas and Morgan met on War of the Worlds. Also, just got added to All Access. Just started. Obviously, right after then, that's when they started. But coming into that season, Cara and Pauly were definitely a thing because Kyle was pissed.
Yeah.
So they're definitely. But Bananas and Morgan might have it more because Zack and Jenna are still together on that season. But then I think the next season is when they break up. War of the Worlds 2.
Yes.
I think. I don't know.
They get into a huge fight on War of the Worlds. God. I don't know. Zack and Jenna.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't sound like them.
I think that's African Bumble. War of the Worlds 2. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just classic. All right, let's stir back in.
So then the next scene is about 10 minutes or so. It's basically Devin. It's very weird. It was a very awkward scene, I thought. It was basically Devin talking to Big T, and he's like, what's your background story? And I think, did she lose a parent? Was that the story that she told? I couldn't quite understand it.
Yeah, we were kind of watching a game off the side.
It was like a sad story, and Devin was like being like genuine, like and like actually listening to her and everything. And he was like, I like hearing about like
triumphant story,
people that like go through struggles and all this. And then like it literally flipped on a dime to like he was like, all right, Big T's done with her story. Amber, you can get out. And it was just like the weirdest scene because it was just Devin, Big T, Amber, and one other guy was maybe in the room.
It was Kyle.
Kyle.
Yeah.
It was just the four of them in the room, and he went from like loving this Big T story to telling Amber to get out. And she was like, well, I'm not even saying anything. Like, who do you think you are? And he was like, this is my night. I won the elimination.
We must have missed something.
It was very weird.
When I say we missed something, I think it was like they definitely didn't show it because.
Well, so he did ask her something. So part of the reason why he was liking Big T's story was because that's like one of the reasons why she's here. It's like go in and fight and do all this stuff like for her family. Mm-hmm. And he asked, what was her name? I can't even remember.
Amber or Big T?
Amber. So he asked Amber, why are you here? And that was very short clip. I don't even think we heard an answer. And I think she didn't really have a good one, which who cares if you have a good one or not? Sometimes people go on the challenge just to be famous. That was coined by Mr. Beautiful back in the day. You can't fault someone if they want to go on the challenge just to try to become famous. So I think he heard that because keep in mind, Devin's got a tough story too of his dad. So I think he was kind of playing that in his own favor of like, I'm here fighting for my family. Big T's here fighting for her family.
Why are you here?
And Amber's just here for fame. And
but like, here's the thing. But here's the thing about that. Like, there's almost one thing where you're getting drunk every night and showing it, kind of like what Josh did this episode, just getting your face out there. She's been very low-key. Like, she has not done a move. All she was there, like, oh, I'm here for you if you need anything. Like, it didn't seem.
Well, yes, true. But keep in mind, Nelson said that exact same thing later in the challenge to Corey when he realized the writing was on the wall. He's like, I don't know why I picked Amber. She just wants to be here and drink and party. So maybe we don't necessarily see it, but she's just out getting rowdy. Which, again, who cares? It's the challenge. You're supposed to be doing stuff like that. For Devin to not like her answer and then to hold that against her and say, you are ruining my night, you need to leave. It's just, it gave me old school Wes vibes when Wes was just an asshole. And granted, he still is, but just he's like a more mature one. So he kind of thinks he's cool, even though he's not on anymore because he sucks. But it's trying to entertain here. Like if anyone's doing something for the camera, it's you doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then that kind of goes right into the whole, like where Nelson got involved. Because basically, Devin was being a dick to Amber. They go to bed. They wake up the next morning. And Amber like comes to Nelson and like says, Devin was making me cry last night, blah, blah, blah. Corey's there. And Nelson is just, you could tell, I mean, this dude's hilarious. He was eating it up. He was like, I got to protect you. She's my partner, blah, blah, blah. So he goes to Devin while he's still sleeping. And there was like a couple good cutaways where he was like, Devin, like my partner is like literally crying right now. And then it just like flashes to her like eating breakfast, like nothing ever happened. And he's like, so then Nelson starts going for Devin, basically saying like, what did you do to my partner? And I don't really think anything came from it. I mean, Devin pretty much just went back to sleep.
Yeah, he was just pulling a Dario, just laying in bed, just calling it a night, a morning, I guess. Very Trev-esque.
Yeah. So I would say the first part of this episode I said was okay because the drama was stuff that kind of continued throughout the episode with Amber, Nelson, everybody else, Tori, Fessy. So I thought we kind of started off pretty good. So then I think we get right into the challenge. First question, just overall thoughts. I was not the biggest fan of this one, the whole drones and all that.
Yeah, I mean, this challenge, I think they were trying to be kind of like a new school thing, I would say. Like, I I don't know. I don't know the best way to describe it. Like trying to do something they haven't done before to bring in, a drone or whatever. But I don't know if you noticed, that line was like 100 meters. That's it. Like it was not that far you had to go. It was literally so close. And these people are just literally cutting into these walls. I want to know at the end of this episode, I wish they would have shown like how much money they spent on all these drones that got destroyed. Because these drones are like, $200, $300. They're not like, obviously they were the cheapest ones, but still, I mean, they're so cheap already. And you're just 10 seconds, you're just crashing these things. I mean,
who's paying for this shit?
Yeah, who is paying for this shit? That's exactly. Andy, what'd you think?
I mean, so right out the gate, it was clear like the goal that Murray was trying to get from this was like to really hone in on communication of like someone's got to be the eyes, someone else has to be able to operate it. But when you can't operate it, it doesn't matter if you can see clear as day. So I thought it was kind of a dumb challenge. I think they could have done a lot of different things to try to accomplish that. And it honestly just made it not enjoyable to watch.
Well, that's the thing. Mikey the Doctor just wrote one of the worst challenges they have done in recent times. Absolutely agree. If you're trying to work on communication, why not go to like a classic one where you're strapped to your partner and you have a dog collar on you and it's like electrical fence thing? When
Rivals
it's like
2.
Rivals 2, when you're blindfolded and you're trying to work your way across and you're just like all about communication where you're going.
And
do something like that. Don't go off rail and try to do something that breaks in 10 seconds.
Well, and the thing is, the 1 out of 12, 13 teams finished it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even. It was like all of them crashed into the side and didn't even like get to the puzzle. And like that was another whole part of it where these people are idiots. So even if they would have miraculously gotten to the code, like none of them besides Devin would have been able to solve it. So it was just weird. And I also think like if you really want to do the drone thing, if you're really that inclined, why do it in like a cave like that? Like maybe they thought that looked cool, but if you want to do that, maybe it would have been cool to just do it like in a wide open field and like you have to do the same like
because you're not hitting anything.
Yeah,
if you're missing, you're just shooting way out.
You have to do the same teamwork thing, but maybe you go high up in the air and you have to memorize a list of colors or something.
Absolutely, especially like when you throw a timer into this situation, you're expecting people to finish it. It just becomes how fast do you finish it. But if you make the challenge hard, then it's like, who cares? Thank God Devin was the only person of the whole cast reading the numbers because, to your point, no one else was getting that.
Well, here's the thing. The time limit thing, I mean, let's be real. I don't think the time even came into play at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So why put a 10-minute timer on it if it's going to be an impossible challenge?
No, I agree. Because realistically, you could have put a timer of a minute, and I don't think anything would have changed.
Well, I think Nelly was out in 30 seconds. Or was
someone out in 10 seconds? Like, literally, they drove up and then just went to the left and hit the wall. Like, behind them almost. Like, I don't know. Just out of control.
One thing, not necessarily about this challenge, but around this part of the episode that we forgot to bring up, and I mean, it was easily forgettable in the episode, is Liv went home.
Oh, God, classic. Who?
Liv went home, and that's just like a classic. Does anybody, what was it? War of the Worlds 2, I think. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I think there was an episode in War of the Worlds 2 when Faith and somebody else like got DQ'd on the same episode when they like quit, and TJ spent an entire like 5 seconds on it. He was literally like, Faith decided to leave, whatever. And that was what this episode reminded me of. Because it was basically like, Michi, you're a rogue agent, Liv's gone. That was it.
Yeah.
I literally forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, hope to see you never.
Hope to see you never.
All right, what's next?
Any other thoughts on the challenge?
I mean, the challenge itself, I think they were trying to go for that new look. And
it was also just annoying right away, and it carried out throughout the episode of Devin just having more power.
Yeah.
That was annoying.
Yeah.
But all right, so that was the challenge. Then they go back to the house. There's a couple things that happen. Obviously, a lot of talk with who is going to be voted in and everything. But what do we think about the whole Josh versus Jay fight? because this was one of those ones that I think stopped right before a commercial on the cutaway, and it was just the most random thing. Like he was trying to Jay was trying to calmly talk to Josh and say like, we're working together, we're friends. And Josh was like, I don't like your energy.
Yeah. Oh, well, not only did he not like it, one of his responses to Casey was, look at his energy. He literally said, like, look at his energy. And Jay's just sitting there like this. Like, it was so stupid. It did happen at the tail end of the night, and it looked like it was a night that people were going out and boozing. So maybe he was a little bit under the influence. That's the only thing that I can think of that would make him react like that. But at the same time, it's Josh. And I was waiting for him to just burst out into tears. And that didn't happen. So good for him, but what a stupid fight by a stupid person.
Well, and it started with him, like the beginning of the conversation, he was like, Jay, are you going for me? And then they went back and forth. Jay was like, no. Casey was just kind of laughing at it. And he was like, Josh, like he's on our side. And then Josh decided to turn it on him. And I think this is where it cut to commercial and he goes, we're going for Jay. And it's just the stupidest thing. I mean, this guy, him and Devin are similar in the fact that they will just look for anybody to turn on.
Yeah. We see a lot of hate in the comments from Josh right now. Josh has yet to cry and we're 2 fights in. That is true. Our over-under was really high. I think there were some tears getting close. The waterworks were going.
Well, let's not forget that last time he cried, who was it with? Was it CT?
This season or before?
No, like a couple episodes ago when he had his first breakdown. Who was that with?
I mean, it happened so much, you know.
Well, because we didn't see the tears on the screen, but whoever he was fighting against said, and then Josh goes and starts crying in the shower. So I do think, even though we haven't seen him, there's definitely been tears shed.
Great comment by JS Paul 21. He's cried, just not on TV.
Bingo.
I think that's a fair statement to say. I think we can all.
And then Jesse Adams saying Jay could tell Josh was hammered. That's the only thing that makes sense aside from the fact that Josh is just a moron.
Do you think right now in the game, Josh is the most hated person?
Or no,
by the house or
fans?
Fans?
I guess now. At that moment, it's hard to say because now we know the most hated after tonight's episode.
No, I think Devin, even while that fight was going on, Devin's got like nobody backing him.
I think Josh, I don't know if it's hated. I think the house just kind of dislikes him and is just annoyed with him. They kind of, you can tell sometimes during these fights where Josh is crying and stuff, you can tell that like most of the cast just kind of wants to laugh at him, but they don't want to because then that kind of like makes him cry even more. It's
very what Wes said last season to him. He's like, I don't see you as why would I throw you in? I don't see you as a threat or anything. I want you in, So
put him back on Big Brother. Get him off the challenge.
But like I said, they are going, as much as I hate to say it, they are going to be a staple of the show now. And it sucks because think about this: the state of the real world. Where are we? When's the last season of that? Do we even have an upcoming season of that? Mm-hmm. That's gone. Real world's done. We're gonna start bringing the Are You the Ones? Season 10 or whatever they're on over here. Big Brother's gonna have to be next, and then we're gonna add 15 other shows. I mean, we're at WWE, Andy. We're at WWE at this point.
Meet 3.
Not gonna happen.
All right, so what do we got after the whole Josh was crying again?
So the whole voting aspect of it, I don't want to miss anything here because there's a few teams kind of getting thrown around when they go into deliberation because Tori and Devin obviously are safe. And I'm trying to remember exactly. Josh started the conversation. Leroy got in there. But I think the main teams that were kind of thrown around were Amber and Nelson, mainly because people thought Amber. At this point, we also didn't know, and the whole house was kind of on edge of if it's going to be a guys' elimination or girls' elimination.
I mean, we all knew what it was, though, right? The numbers were against, right?
It should. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they were thinking Amber basically because she's the worst girl, and Nelson kind of just because him and Devin had been going at it. So that was a team that was getting thrown around. Josh is with Nani, right? Yes. Josh and Nani got thrown around just because Devin also doesn't like him. And then kind of Jay and Teresa because Josh was kind of going for them. Those were kind of the three teams that were getting called in. And then we obviously saw that when they went to is that thing called something? The chamber? Where they see the votes?
I think it is the chamber.
I think it is the chamber.
Chamber of secrets, some might say.
No, not those secrets.
When they go into the chamber, this is when they see that Amber and Nelson get the most votes, right?
Yep.
So then, I mean, that was basically it before the elimination, right? There was nothing else.
Nah, they kind of just went right into it.
And then there's that little talk with Josh and Fessy in the hot tub, which they like show a flashback to later, where Josh is like, "I think I'm going in," blah blah blah. Because Devin had his skull, so he had no reason to go in. So Josh, I think, was thinking Josh wanted Jay to go in because he thought Devin was going to vote Josh in. So he wanted like his best competition. So we thought, but yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah. So I guess we can talk about the elimination. Okay.
Yeah, the elimination. So, I mean, the first thing is we see the hall, and then Fessy, they show the subtitles. I feel like that was a good use of subtitles. Sometimes they kind of fuck those up. Sometimes they don't use them when they should. But it was Fessy whispering to Tori, his new side thing, that he wanted to be voted in.
Yeah.
So that was right away a snake move, right?
Absolutely.
100%.
Friend.
And the thing is, did we talk about it last recap or the recap before? There was that episode where
I can't tell you anything.
There was that episode where Fessy kind of explains the secret of seeing the votes to the house, and Corey's like all offended by it. So I thought there was already some sort of rift between all these young bucks. Yeah, the beast.
Yeah, beast back on.
And so I thought there was something going on, but apparently they were boys again. I thought so. It seems like they were boys again, and then Fessy goes and does this.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not helping himself at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, what'd you guys think of this move to basically ask? We'll get into the actual elimination in a sec, but for him to ask to go in against Nelson, because obviously, you want to get your skull, and it's a hall brawl, but I mean, who does he got on his side anymore?
Well, so that was what we talked about last time on the last episode recap, I think. But my biggest point was that Fessy only cares about Fessy. Yeah. That in last episode showed that when he didn't talk to Corey, and he's doing all this just to put other people on blast, but he's making himself look like an idiot. And then he does this. It's like Fessy is only in this for Fessy, period.
Oh,
and he's just not a smart move. Also, don't give you the challenge.
And the thing that worries me too is I feel like in a situation like this where someone kind of exposes himself, kind of a dick move, and the whole house saw it, obviously, because they know that, he's close to Nelson and Corey and all that. And so, like, in this situation, I usually, you would like to see sort of him get some sort of karma, like later in the season, somebody goes for him and gets him. But the thing is, it's like, it's not like the person who did the sneaky move, Fessy, is one of the best competitors, and he has a skull. So it's like,
here's the thing. So I get what you're saying, but what happens when they show up to the challenge and it looks like it's a puzzle? We've seen physical ones so far, but there are a hell of a lot of toss-ups. I mean, look at the Lights Out where Devin beat Bananas. Bananas is beating Devin 9 out of 10 times, but if you can see that it's not just a physical elimination, Fessy is totally fair game and could easily get knocked out, because on top of the fact that no one wants to see him alone in an elimination, no one wants to see him in the final either. So if they could knock him out, that could be big. But I think the only reason someone would go in is for that reason, because I think you bring up a good one. because I was thinking the same thing. It's like, damn, how is he going to lose?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you see some board or something like that, then I could see it happening.
So JS Paul says, is Nelly the new Leroy? Are we thinking in terms of I can see that as a very real possibility. Are we thinking in terms of kind of just hanging on, kind of always feeling bad for him when he loses? Obviously doesn't have a ring. Nelly's doing more and more seasons now. You kind of get that feeling that he just might never win.
I think Leroy has more hype than Nelly. When you look at Leroy, you expect greatness.
Yeah, and he's been around longer.
Yeah. And when you look at Nelly, you're like, oh, he's the funny guy.
Yeah.
Like, has a big heart, this. But I don't, coming into the season, I expect Leroy to win a lot. J.S. Paul said, lovable loser. And as much as I hate to say it, it's true.
Kind of right.
Yeah. He's the guy that, he owns a club and he can't even pop his own champagne bottle. That's classic. But yeah,
I think the one thing that I think Leroy is just viewed more of a threat. Leroy's first season of Rivals 1, he went to the final.
Yeah.
People forget that. So I think he's definitely viewed as a threat more so than Nelly, but the lovable loser aspect I think is spot on.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. We'll bring up Mikey's comment. Do you think Fessy and Casey are the strongest team? In a little bit. We'll hang on to that.
Yeah,
we'll get
into that.
So let's rewind. They walk into elimination. Fessy's whispering to Tori, and then this is when TJ says that the house vote is Amber and Nelson, so they get pulled down. And then he asked Tori and Devin who they want to vote for, and I kind of liked how Tori just straight up asked him like, is it a girls' elimination or a guys' elimination? And obviously, I didn't, you didn't think that TJ was going to actually tell them what it was, and he gave no answer. He said, you got to expect whatever phrase TJ said. But I kind of respect Tori for at least asking it. So he basically says, you got to account for everything. I think they cut to commercial at this point, and then they come back. And so the logic here, I think, is obviously Devin doesn't want to go down as a team, because if it is a guy's day, then he's in, since they don't know who's going to be the elimination. So Devin didn't want to risk it because he has a skull and it's a hall brawl. Tori didn't want to go down because she didn't want to go down because she didn't kind of want to screw over Devin, right? Which
would have been the case,
right? Because it probably would have been a guy's day.
Well, yeah.
And then they're kind of like, the next best thing. I have this, this good competitor, Fessy, asking me to send him in, help him get his skull. And so that was what they kind of went with.
Absolutely.
And then Josh was kind of butthurt about it, right?
Well, yeah. Who else remembers as they're getting ready, Josh is in the background. Calm down. Can't him and not think of the Michelin Man. I once I started thinking about that, I can't get it out of my head. So it's just buddy, you're not a tough guy. Relax.
Who and question for the chat too. Who would win between Josh and Nelson?
I think Nelly after his performance.
I'm taking Nelly.
I think Nelson would win.
I think Nelson would.
Nelly just gave Fessy a hard time.
God.
Yeah, it's gotta be Nelly.
Josh would have gotten smoked by Nelly. Absolutely, Mikey. 100%.
Nelly put up 2 good fights in Hall Brawls against Fessy and Rogan. And both of those guys would eat Josh alive. I think Nelly's taking Fessy.
Honestly, if you look at the challenge in the past 10, 15 seasons, those 2 guys might be in the top 3 best Hall Brawl people you can choose, right?
Who?
Fessy and
if you're going back that far, you're also going back to Prime, CT, Evan. You're getting some big dogs back in their prime.
At 20, think about this. Season 25 was free agents, Andy, right?
Yes.
So,
my God.
10 seasons ago, what's
36?
Yeah, we're at 36. So we're at Vendettas. Or no, not Bloodlines, right? Bloodlines or Invasion. One of those.
What's the question?
I'm saying 10 seasons.
Yeah.
So season 26.
Oh, was it
season
X's 2?
X's 2 to present day. Who would your top 3 Hall Brawl people be?
And the chat.
And in the chat. God, Dunbar did porn. People forget that.
I think you would have to find some version, some era of CT. I think it would be hard to pick 3 people. It would be hard to find 3 people better than peak CT in a hall brawl.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, God, I think
CT.
I think you got to put Fessy.
What about Big Easy?
Has he been that long? No.
Well, didn't West beat him? Or did he beat West?
West got smoked by him.
Yeah, West got absolutely smoked.
He probably tried to do some sort of, I'm going to outsmart him and then look like an idiot. Ooh, Turbo. Is he big enough?
Zack, Turbo.
Turbo's a little shorter, isn't he?
Oh, actually, you know who I think you got to throw in there?
Jordan?
Zack.
Zach's a good pick.
Zack would be tough.
Yeah, I think you got some good options.
CT, Turbo, Rogan. I think you got to put Rogan. I like Rogan a lot too. Not as much as Josh.
I think. Well, so the moral of all of this is that Rogan and Fessy have been part of this whole conversation, and Nelly T both really, really like a tough fight for both of them. So,
well, yeah. He would have beaten.
now.
He would have beaten Rogan if he just let go. He held on too long, right? So
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess the elimination itself.
So then and one other thing is that like when Tori and Devin say we're voting in Fessy and Anissa, the whole house is kind of shocked by it just because that was never really an option. And Tori, I think, did the right thing by basically saying like
he wanted it.
Like Fessy just asked me for it, and that kind of exposed Fessy even more to the rest of the house because they were so shocked. But I mean, she had no reason not to say that. And I think if you're Fessy and Anissa, like if you're Anissa, you're fine with being voted in because on the off chance that it's a girls' elimination, she's going to beat Amber. But obviously, they say guys' elimination, so it's Nelson and Fessy. So what do we think about these 2 rounds? I mean, we kind of talked about it, but Nelson kept it close. You had the first round. Fessy was quote unquote playing dirty. He ripped the face mask off and all that. I mean, it was close, especially that first round. It seemed like they were both getting up to run. Fessy seemed to trip a little bit, and it just seemed like Nelson was far enough away from his bell for Fessy's trip to not cost him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where does this rank? Just watching how it went down, where does Fessy versus Nelson rank in the best hall brawls we've seen? Because I think, and anybody can chime in, but I think my favorite in terms of hall brawl competitiveness has always been Zack versus CJ.
Oh,
when CJ actually won more rounds than Zack, but then Zack pulled it off at the end. That's always been my favorite one. I think like TV wise, Wes and Big Easy is just like the one that, and I think that was the first one. Leroy West was a good one. What other hall brawls have we had? Obviously, Rogan and Nelson last season was good. That one I feel like was made better by the fact that Nelson kind of threw himself in. But I mean, I would say this one is kind of right in that middle range.
You know what people do forget? Tori versus Jenny, and Tori smoked Jenny.
Yeah.
Ran her over. I'm trying to think of
That's a good call.
Theo beat Kyle. That was a weak one.
Theo.
Anybody
like Theo here?
I love Theo. I miss him.
But can we?
What other ones were there? Ginny beat D last season too.
God.
But I mean, overall, I feel like this. I mean, hall brawl is always good. Like it's always a physical man in the sand type thing, and I feel like this one was kind of what you expected. The favorite won, and won with a fight. I mean, it's always going to be tough.
Hunter versus Leroy.
Hunter and Leroy.
Little Boogie, welcome back to the party.
Boogie Brown.
Hunter versus Leroy, Dirty 30. No, I mean, that's the thing. When you get these guys, and that's why I think I like Leroy.
One that I just thought of. It's kind of a version of hall brawl. Was remember when it was Jordan and Marlon against Ty and Leroy.
See, I was going to bring that up. I do like the 2-person Hall Bras.
I like that one.
Very like.
God, well, it's not the Hall Bras. It's just where they're attached at the hip.
No, they're not. You have one person in the front, one person behind, and the people from the behind.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was Jordan Marlon, both rookie season.
Yeah. And that was one that went, obviously a sign of a good Hall Brawls when it goes 3 rounds, and I think this one did. That
Jordan Marlon won.
Yeah, Jordan and Marlon won.
Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Red Raiders.
Any other Hall Brawls or anything like that we can think of?
No, I can't.
Well, one of my favorites I was thinking of the ones where you're literally attached at the hips with the football pads. The Kenny West rivals against Tyree and Davis.
Like smoke.
And Tyree's the college lineman and all this. He literally just buried him.
Do we think how do we think about the fact that double agents used a Hall Brawl in episode 4 though? That was my
I hope there's more.
That was my one worry is like usually they save it for that second half of the season, sometimes the very last one. Maybe they bring it back just because this one I think is going to be a long season. I mean, I hope they bring or at least some sort of version of it for a physical elimination right before the finish line. I don't know.
They have to bring it back.
I mean, this one
this season has already been pretty physical with the elimination.
Yeah. I mean, we already had a pole wrestle, a variation of pole wrestle.
Wait, but I wasn't sure it was going to be a pole wrestle.
Well, did you see Fessy as he's walking in and he's like, "Yeah, I want this. It's clearly a Hall Brawl." No shit. And the other one was clearly pole wrestle, you idiot.
Well, we were saying like how classic would have been if he volunteers and he's like, all right, and then like the boards just like fall down to the ground. It's not a Hall.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it's like put this back together as fast as possible. Go.
So Fessy, he beats him 2 rounds, right? Best of 3.
Yeah.
Fessy wins 2-0. And then I mean, what do you guys think just about Nelson going home? We talked about. I feel bad for the guy losing back-to-back seasons in Hall Brawls, and one where it's like it was the last elimination where he volunteered himself for his boy, and then this season
going against
this season he went against a boy very early on.
Yeah.
So it's like within I don't know how much it would have been real time, but within like a 4-month time frame maybe to lose 2 Hall Brawls, that's tough.
Well, here's how I look at it too. Where would this episode have gone if Wes was still in the game? Like, let's say him and Corey worked an alliance. Because now Corey, you look at Corey, who does Corey have?
Nobody. Well,
Corey's
in a better spot than Fessy.
Absolutely. But who does Corey got? I mean, yes, you can say Tori and stuff like that, but there's a lot of snaking around going around.
Yeah. See, now I feel like Devin and Kyle are in a pretty good spot. I think
Kyle is in a great spot right now.
I think they have a lot of those rookies, the Michis, Leos of the world kind of following them around. CT's always floating. He'll go where the numbers go. And now that Nelson's gone, Wes is gone, like those are some heavy hitters in terms of where the numbers were lying. So I don't know.
This episode kind of turned the game on its head, because if Nelly T is still in, then it's the Fessy, Nelly, Corey show and the Big Brother. Like those are a lot of numbers. And now the whole Nelly gone. Corey doesn't trust Fessy. Fessy doesn't really have the Big Brother numbers because he just joined up with Casey, which was a stupid move. So it's like, where does the power lie right now?
Yeah, so let's talk about the 3 teams that kind of got formed.
Yeah.
So we had Fessy winning, and obviously we all knew this was coming, leaving Anissa, picking Casey, and then we had because of that, Leroy picking Anissa, and then left was Amber and Michi. So looking at those 3 teams now, obviously we think best spot would be Fessy for sure. Out of those 3 teams is what I'm saying. But to bring back Mikey the Doctor's point, Do you think they're the strongest team in the house?
No.
I think it's hard to tell because I do think they are a very, very strong team. The issue is I feel like they have so many targets on their back now. But here's the thing. I feel like I'm getting this vibe that it's going to be like old school CT now with him. Nobody wants to go into an elimination with him. And that's what I'm nervous about because I think he could just skate now up until because nobody wants to get, go into an elimination with him, which is possible. But if I'm, in the house like a Corey or whatever, and they get the house vote in, I'm throwing CT in. CT versus him and whatever. You get one of those guys out or a Darrell, get one of those top guys out. Now's your chance to do it.
Yeah. So here's the thing though, because you're right about who wants to go against them, but anyone who's going to think a little bit beyond what's right in front of your face, and the only people that do that are either going to be veterans or people that have a brain. Good thing there are some good veterans left in CT and Darrell, and there is one person with the brain in Devin. And the strategy that they should be telling the Michis and the Jays and the Joshes of the world is that, look, none of us want to see Fessy in the final. That had traditionally been the way of thinking. You don't want to go against the final with somebody because that's how you're going to win your money. So if you can have that to the point where you just throw him in and hope you can get rid of him at some point in time, he's probably going to crumble. And then someone else is going to get their skull. Again, it's ballsy and no one's going to watch out for it. But I think that's if they can start having those conversations of we need to get him out, I think that's their best bet.
Yeah, I think in terms of kind of the new teams that we had and everything, I would say Casey and Fessy, from challenged, give any random challenge to them, give any random elimination, they might be one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest duo left. It's just that target. I mean, I think that target on Fessy is going to be massive now, and maybe they won't be able to. Maybe they won't be able to go for him directly or immediately, but I think like you said, I think they'll kind of figure out the best way to get him out and to go for him. I mean, that's definitely a strong team. I would say Leroy and Anissa. My first reaction to Leroy and Anissa was it doesn't really change. There's no ripple effect from that. Like they're both like vets. They're both good. You're never really worried about either of them winning a season, obviously. Maybe one of them steals, one of them gets stolen. But I would say overall, Leroy and Anissa is just another very middle of the road team. And then lastly, Michi and
Amber.
I mean, that's a layup.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's why I think why not try to throw Fessy in with the power couple putting in Fessy?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Why not?
I want to bring up Mikey, the doctor here. We said this in the first episode, and now's a good time to talk about it because we brought up, Teach has made it very clear. We got 10 schools. That is it. 10 schools. That's it. So right now we have 3 guys, 1 girl.
With skulls, right?
With skulls, yeah.
So
what's going on?
Natalie and 3 guys are Fessy, Kyle, Devin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that. I mean, do we still think? I still think it's going to be 5 and 5 in terms of guys and girls.
Here's how I look at it, though. Fessy might have it locked towards the final now, so he's probably not going to see an elimination again.
Probably not.
Fair to say. But okay, so Ace stays just right. When all 10 are taken, you can steal them. But we made the point. He made it very clear, saying, once there's 10 skulls, that is it. Correct?
Yes.
So we were saying Ace stays. What happens? I get what you're saying. If there's 10 skulls already out, what happened? They're going to drop. Realistically, what they should do is drop it to 10 people, and that's it. That's how we all think it should be. But what happens when there's 12 people left, but 10 skulls are out? Are those 2 people kicked out, or what's going to happen? So that's for that. But Andy, what would you say? I mean, right now we're at 3-1. I mean, at this pace, we're obviously going to go to 6-2. So
I don't know. I mean, the problem is what they can't control is they can't control Nicole leaving. They can't control the other. Was it Liv? Liv leaving like that.
But I'm not worried about that. What they can control is they would literally make it. What's it called? Like girls elimination. Like that girls elimination.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do back to back, and then it's even, and then they just go guy, girl, guy, girl.
And what I could see to make it a little less, like I could very easily see, next week's a girl, so now the numbers are 2 and 3,
and then possibly a girls again.
Well, maybe the next episode after that is a double one, so you get a girl and a guy. Guys still have the one more, and then the next one's a girl again, just a girl, kind of evens out.
And we get what you're saying, Ace. For sure, I think like Kyle or someone or Devin will probably see an elimination again, 100%. So then that one skull means nothing. Then it's just going to be, if it's 3-1, then it's going to be 3-1 again. I get what you're saying, and obviously with the 19 episodes, we know shit's going to happen. But we're just saying, what happens if it does end at 6-4 or something like that?
It's very different because one of the things that just came to my mind, it's very different from because of the team switching and everything like that, and knowing that there's a finite amount of skulls. Think back to last season where this time of the season, early on, they were going J every single episode.
Yeah,
they were sticking to the same person. We were like 4 or 5 episodes in, and only Jay had gotten a skull.
Well, that's like saying, what if Natalie goes in every single episode for the rest of the season?
That's what I think they should do with Fessy. Why the hell not?
Because
if you so let me go this route with you. If Devin and CT and Darrell and Leroy and maybe even Cam can all have the numbers, that's the majority in the house. They vote Fessy in, and then it's either going to be Corey getting voted in, or it's going to be being voted in, or it's going to.
Uh-oh. Lost Andy there for a sec. Oh.
Save and do exactly.
We lost you there, Andy, for a sec. You're kind of lagging with your magic jack all over the place. But
yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, we'll just move on from it.
So, final thoughts on either the episode or the elimination. We got some segments that we'll get into in a sec.
Ooh, they make a good point. Sorry, in the comments from Jesse and Mikey and Ace, they all kind of brought up you can't have back-to-back girls eliminations though, because the numbers would be off. Because right now the numbers are, what I'm saying? Because you can't have, it's a girls guy. One person would be left over.
Yeah, the numbers are even, but the skulls are not.
Yeah, but you can't do back-to-back girls elimination unless a guy leaves for an injury or, a girl leaves for an injury and then back-to-back. You can't. Because then the numbers are off. You don't get that?
So
I get what you're saying.
Right now there's no rogue agents, right?
Yeah, so right now let's just say there's
I got it.
Let's just say there's 12 teams and you eliminate back-to-back girls elimination, you got 12 guys, 10 girls.
Yeah, it's kind of like the odd couple.
God, if ammo was in the game, you might have, finessed it. But
all right, so overall, I thought the episode was. I mean, the thing is, there's 19 of these, so that you're not going to hit a home run every time. I don't think this episode was a home run. I think though is that this episode set up a lot of things for the rest of the season.
Agreed.
Just
stirring the pot.
Just stirring the pot.
Any final thoughts?
No, I'm all set. I think it was, kind of an entertaining one. I thought the challenge was kind of weak though. Elimination kind of, brought it up just enough, but you got to feel for Nelly. I feel bad, I mean, back-to-back seasons going out heartbreaking ways. I mean, from your best, going in for your best friend to literally going home from your best friend. So very tough to see. He's a guy that I like to see, even if he makes the final, he doesn't have to win. Good competitor. Like to see him back, for more seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that, because I still wasn't a huge fan of this, I found myself pissed off throughout the entire episode. At the start, I was pissed off at Devin because I was like, I hate you, you suck. And then I was pissed off at Josh because I was like, I hate you, you suck. And then I was pissed off at Fessy because I'm like, you're an idiot and you suck.
Okay.
Those are my final thoughts.
Wow.
All right, we ready for some
Did
segments?
you wake up on the right side of the bed today? Jeez.
Yes, I was excited. This episode let me down. I'm not in a great mood courtesy of the MTV right now.
God, almost more let down than Chelsea losing 3-1 to City.
Watch it.
God.
All right, next week has to be better.
It has to be.
It will be.
But that's the thing. You know, this is the time.
This was a whole brawl, and it wasn't like one of the best episodes ever.
But I feel like this is the classic time, you know, every season, and I hate the middle gauntlet that we just have to fight through. You know, it's like the 4 through 8 episode stretch. That's just a grind to get through.
Yeah.
But I think Alex, what you're saying is spot on because the alliances are all over the place. The teams look incredibly different now. That's what I think we can rest assured knowing there's good things to come.
Well, that's the thing. I personally think, like, and I said this to Alex watching tonight's episode, format-wise, I love this game. I think this game is money. I mean, I think there's one true alliance this game. I guess you can argue two, but the one true one would be Cam and Leroy.
Yeah.
No matter what, through and all, you know, whatever. But
There's
everything else you could argue in some way.
There's
like, look, we didn't even bring it up, sorry. But, like, how shady was Casey with Leroy when they were in the whatever room, the chamber?
Like last episode?
No, this episode. How shady. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to give him, like, did you not?
That was last episode as we were watching it before.
Oh, classic.
Last episode. Yeah.
Classic.
There's just, I agree, though. I like the format because there's just so many moving parts. There's the skull twist. There's people switching partners. There's, you know, you have to worry about somebody taking your partner. You have to think about who you're going to take. You have to think of, is the next elimination going to be guys or girls? So I think that is something that every episode is going to be fresh.
Well, the other thing I want to bring up is I just don't understand. It's going to be ballsy to volunteer yourself because you don't even know if you're going in. Like, for example, tonight, Tori and Devin. Devin's like, I have my skull. I do not want to touch, you know, the floor because, for example, if he would have gone in tonight, he'd have been fucked.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine Devin versus him in an elimination?
Fessy?
Yes. Get off the trash.
Call the ambulance.
Get off the trash.
Yes.
All right.
We ready for some segments?
Blow me. Let's hear it.
All right. First one. We've been doing it a lot. This day in challenge history.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Today's calendar date, January 6th. I think this is the 4th time there's been a challenge episode on this day. So maybe there's some sort of stat out there in terms of most popular challenge calendar days. I think this might be up there. So I got 2 sort of trivia questions. We'll look for answers from the chat as well, because now there's more seasons overlapping with this time of year. The first one is going back to, again, Battle of the Bloodlines. I'll give more hints as we go along, but your question is, this day in challenge history, 2016, January 6th. The winner of the elimination was Mike. Who did Mike beat?
Who is Mike?
It's Mike. Oh, was this the demolition room?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember the elimination.
Do you know who Mike is?
Mike and Abe, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Abe's little, yeah. Was that Benem? Did he knock out
Wait,
no.
did he beat Dario?
He beat someone good.
It was the room. It was the demolition room one.
Anybody in the chat? It was the room.
He beat someone good, I think, didn't he? I know it wasn't Bananas, but
I got to think of teams in that.
And Mike was just the most normal guy, especially compared to.
Was it Jamie?
The fucking lunatic.
No.
There we go.
Thomas's cousin.
Steven.
Wow. Both those answers same time. What is that?
I know.
Wow. Mikey, the cousin with Thomas's cousin, Little Boogie with straight up Steven. Props to you guys. Little Boogie, don't get me wrong. I think he had the crown the past couple.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, just keeping that crown. Jesus.
Yeah. Side note, Amber M, we haven't talked about her a ton this episode. She is bad. Yeah, but Mike, Abe's brother, beat Tom beat Steven.
Oh, that is right.
Tom's
J.S.
brother.
Paul. Thank you for reminding me. That's the guy that.
And that's
up.
the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah,
Right there.
yeah.
That right there was a huge, just missed opportunity in terms of entertainment. Because remember in Bloodlines, like the red team, I think won every single episode. Whereas if that one would have been switched, and instead of their Bloodlines going in, it would have been Abe versus Thomas. I mean, good luck, buddy. And this was the one too. Even when Abe wasn't going in, he was making himself bleed, and he was like wiping it over his face like a dog.
God, Abe is a lunatic.
The lunatic.
On my line.
God. All right. So that was that one. Should I do part 2?
Yeah.
So this day in challenge history. Just 1 year before that. So I think this speaks to how much more today they fucking pump out the challenges. So this was a whole year before and a whole season before. Was Battle of the X's 2. So again, feel free to chime in with your answers in the chat. Let's see. On this day in challenge history, 2015 was the first episode of X's 2. Does anybody know the winner of the challenge on episode 1?
What was the challenge?
X's 2?
The name of the challenge was called I Got You, Babe.
Oh.
Anybody know who won this challenge? This is back in the partners era of the challenge.
Wes and Teresa.
Any other guesses?
Wow. Who else is on that season? Yeah, I'll lock in that.
Yeah.
Boogie!
It was Wes and Teresa. They started on top.
God.
So then,
yeah, I have no idea who went in that. Wasn't it Adam who went home first?
Well, I'm trying to think of how to ask this.
What was the elimination?
So, all right. So Adam and Brittany finished last in the challenge, which meant they had to go into elimination. But they actually won the first elimination of the season. Does anybody know who they beat? Who did Adam and Brittany beat episode 1 of X's 2?
Oh, no.
Somebody in the chat is going to know this. They have to know this. X's 2, Wes and Teresa actually sent this team in. It was their vote that got into elimination, and this team lost to Adam and Brittany, episode 1.
What was the elimination?
The elimination was called Pole Position. That's actually a segment. That's a segment of ours.
Pole Position. I'm trying to remember.
Anybody?
I got nothing.
Oh, I know who it is. It's Oh yes, it is Dustin. Just God damn it! You know how I knew that too is because the first the Redemption House in that season is the sweat one, and they're in it and they won.
Oh,
the Redemption House.
Yeah.
Remember, it was like work out in an hour, and they were like wiping each other down.
Well, and they were also the first team to go to the Redemption House.
Yeah. That's how I remember.
Yeah,
God,
correct answer.
Boogie's beating me.
Correct answer was Dustin and Jessica. Does that mean that those two were the first people ever in a Redemption House? Because I think that was the first one. So that's a little. I mean, two bad competitors. A little nice slice of challenge history right there.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, so Dustin.
Before we say, I mean, Little Boogie might be the king of knowing everything. Might have to have him on, honestly. I mean, live question, who says no to that? I wonder if the challenge would ever bring back the Redemption House. Don't sleep this seat. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully not. Knock on wood. Hopefully
the
not.
Redemption House is such a... It depends on how they use it. I think the way they use it in X's 2 is very good. Where it's like you're completely separate from the game. One team is going to make it out. Of course, it was bananas. But like in these newer seasons where it's like fucking Pauly and what's her name got eliminated 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah, Natalie.
Because they kept them around. So I think it depends on how they do it. When was the last time they did it?
30-30, right?
And Final Reckoning.
They did Final Reckoning?
I think so.
I don't know.
That was the one with Pauly, right? Boogie.
Oh yeah.
That was. Yeah, I think it was. It kind of depends on how they use it, but
one of those wasn't Natalie just in that circle and they're just
they're
moving
just tossing
her around, going up and down all over the place.
God,
that shit, they wanted to kill her there. God.
All right. So that was this day in challenge history. All we got left now to wrap the episode up, MVP, LVP. Anybody got an MVP
JS Paul,
pick?
no more redemption.
And send in your MVP, LVP picks in the chat. We'll mention some of them when we finish this segment. I was saying before we started this that I think there's a lot of LVP options. I can't think of a ton of MVP picks for this episode.
Who wants to start us off? You got it?
Go ahead.
My MVP, just because how all the dominoes fell, we got to vote for Nelly T in the comments. I think Nelly T is a good one, but it's hard to give an MVP to someone who lost. My MVP is actually going to be Devin. And I know we are God, radar watch, Terrell. Very true.
I ain't mad at that, Jace Ball.
But I just think Devin, as much as we hate him, and I do too, I think he lined himself up very well where he's at right now. You know, he's kind of taken, with his move tonight, he kind of took the pressure off, not just his team, but he forced everything on, oh, look what, he's a snake in the grass and everything like that. And I think that's the real winner of tonight, forcing, him to play the true card.
I like one thing I'll add to that too, Trev. It was very clear that once Tori gets her skull, she's going to be out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not necessarily true anymore. And I think if this was a female elimination, she was going to be gone. But even just Devin saying, don't worry, I will get you your skull. Who's to say that's in 1 week or 5?
Absolutely.
Because one of his best moves would be to stay attached to Tori as much as he can because she's really good. So I like that pick. Good pick.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
You go. I'll go. Trev pick.
I'll go ahead.
You can go ahead. I got 2 choices, so you can go ahead. My
MVP pick, I'm going to go, like I said, I don't think there's a lot of good challengers to pick. So you know what? I'm going to go the live stream chat. I'm going to go everybody that we've had in the chat because this is our 4th recap, fourth or 5th time doing live stream.
The chat's popping. We've had over 100 comments.
Yeah, we got
love to see that.
We got some of the higher level guys in the chat. I mean, knowing every trivia question.
Boogie showing up, JS Paul showing up,
Yeah.
Mikey showing up. I'm trying to think of other
Jesse,
yes, Jesse Adam.
Adam Meadows. I mean,
who else? Ace Stays.
I mean, they knew that fucking Thomas's cousin lost an elimination.
It's not even
that's MVP worthy.
I mean, we had one person say Thomas's cousin. Great answer. That's all you needed to say.
Yeah.
But the fact that
Steven.
Boogie literally wrote Steven, I mean,
Insane.
Yeah. I mean,
Legends.
we've had a great night with the chat tonight and prior episodes. So my MVP, episode 4, I'm going to go to the live stream chat.
Yeah.
Great pick. Shout out to all those in the chat. Well done. Well deserved.
Every episode, we're going to do this.
Yeah, every episode.
Yeah.
Maybe live stream the finale.
And
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe have some of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that. All right, Andy, MVP.
All right, my MVP has already been mentioned. I thought it was going to be the first person to go, truthfully. I'm giving it to Nelly T.
God.
I know he went out, and I know it's like, how do you give an MVP to somebody who's not even on the show anymore? But he put up a hell of a fight against someone 3 times his size. He got totally blindsided. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't necessarily do anything right, but he's just awesome. And I used to be one of the biggest Nelly T haters out there, and he's one of my favorites now. And he's just a good dude. I think I like how he plays the challenge. I think his time's going to come. I hope his time's going to come. And he handled it like a champ. Like when Fessy came over, he just said, like, not now. How do you not, like, start blowing up on him like, fuck you, this is bullshit. How are you going to turn on me? Like, he could have looked like an idiot. And all he said was like, no, not now. I mean, what a guy. What a guy. I think Nelly T's my guy. And don't sleep on the dance moves. Don't sleep on the dance moves.
God, watch it.
Nelly, I think this is probably going to be the first and last time I ever give an MVP to someone who goes home, but Nelly T deserved it in my book.
All right, LVP.
Am I starting with it?
Yeah.
Oh, this was a tough one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an easy one.
There's a couple. My LVP is going to be Fessy.
Okay.
I hate him. I can't stand him. And on top of me,
he played football at University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. So, like,
there it is.
How can you not like him?
And I think this is probably going to be the first time I give an LVP to someone who wins. But the problem is he's just not – he did not set himself up well for this game. He totally burned every bridge that he has left. And then the only other alliance member he has is Casey, who he's now teammates with, which when they were picking teams at the beginning, they purposely went separate. So now he's not anymore. So he doesn't have numbers. He's a super shady guy. Granted, he does have a skull, and maybe he has his full ride to the final mapped out. But even then, I think he really put a huge target on his back and potentially took his number one alliance down with him. And let's also not sleep on the fact that he's got absolutely no game. He was trying to talk to Gabby. Good for him for trying. And she just was not feeling it. So my LVP is going to be Fessy. He just was pissing me off. He knocked out my MVP. So my LVP is Fessy.
All right.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, Fessy in my mind was the big pick for LVP this episode. I'll try to go with something else. I still think there's a lot of good options. I don't know where you're gonna go. I think Josh is an option. I think low key honorable mention is Jordan for kind of getting cucked by Fessy there. Josh is an option. Jordan. My LVP. I'm not gonna go there, especially not Josh, because I think you could do him every single week. But my LVP, I'm gonna go with someone who took maybe a more physical beating than Nelson this episode. Got beat up a lot. My LVP is Drones. I'm going LVP for Drones because I think they obviously one of the producers, in the back room when they were coming up with challenges was like, let's fucking do drones. Let's have drones on a challenge. They all pointed to him. They said, yes, that's it. That's the move. They wrote something up. They said, this is how we're going to do the challenge. And then you watch it, and 12 of 13 teams just flew it right into the wall, just shattered, broken. The camera footage where it was just going straight into it and just falls down. And again, who's paying for this shit? All of these drones, these goggles that they're wearing and everything, just a missed opportunity for something that they clearly had high hopes for. The fact that they did it. But just to contain it in a cave like that, just stupid. So my LVP, I'm going drones.
Great pick. Real original. Well said.
I have no LVP tonight at all.
Oh, come on.
I am just out after that. We talk beforehand and we tell each other everything.
That's so fake.
And, when people steal LVPs from people,
fake. You're treating me like Fessy.
And yes,
God.
Guys, he was the 11th best tight end in the nation. Okay, come on. 11th best Division III tight end in the nation. Let's confirm.
In the state of Tennessee.
Playing for the University of Tennessee.
Instead of my LVP tonight, I'm just going to put a big NA, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read some of your LVPs out there.
Well, hold on. I got an honorable mention I want to throw out there that we haven't even talked about for LVP, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on. So obviously, my
honorable mention is my LVP. Fine, my LVP. Sorry, is Corey. Corey's in a bad spot right now.
Agreed.
Best friend. He just lost his best friend, and what's he going to do with Fez now? He has no idea. Nobody knows what he's going to do. I think the only real alliance he has, I think people said it earlier, was basically Tori and possibly Leroy and Casey, and that's it. And now Casey's with him, so who knows? So
well done, Trev. Way to actually man up and make a pick. I thought you were going to break down on us like Josh.
All right.
One of the obvious.
We're just going to have to go. I'm just kidding.
God, it's a dirty game. No, I think Josh was obviously a clear-cut choice for LVP here just because he's just such a bitch. But kind of where you're thinking, Trev, one of my LVPs is honorable mentions is Tori. What's she going to do?
I think she's not that. I mean, I think she
kind of showed her cards for Fessy because Fessy just said, hey, put me in. Done. Josh was like, hey, you got me? Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. So much for that.
Yeah.
So now her wagon is hitched to Fessy, who just became the biggest target in the game. And she's also tied to Devin. And granted, I think Devin's a good competitor, but I still don't think they really get along well. They definitely don't trust each other. So she's kind of on an island now too.
And in a similar way, another LVP honorable mention in terms of being tied to Fessy is now kind of Casey.
Oh yeah.
Because if they go for Fessy, obviously because the target's huge, and then TJ says it's a girls' elimination, she's screwed.
The only thing that makes it tough to say Casey is because she didn't
really do
that. Yeah. Right. But you're totally right. Tori, I think she just did not make a good choice. But she should have and could have just gone with Josh, and that was it. It's not like Fessy was going to be pissed at her. She would have been doing Fessy a huge favor. That would have been a much, much smarter move for her to say Josh, but she didn't. So
we got some picks in the chat too for Amber M LVP and Jay for not smacking Josh in the face like a bitch. It was a heavy LVP episode.
Big time. Because the episode could have been the LVP. Don't sleep on that. Another
LVP for Josh. Maybe an LVP for anybody who pays for Challenge Podcasts because we're completely free. But yeah.
Ooh. So Mikey asked a good question, and I had my own answer for this. If you're Fessy in that situation, who are you taking?
I mean, if you're showing your cards, I guess you couldn't take Tori. I still think up there right now, the best girl that you could have is Cam. And I probably
the good part of that too is then you're at least part of an alliance. And because then he's got
the thing is why I would get Cam. One, like you just said, you have the alliance, and now you can work on getting Kyle out of the game because now he's out of that alliance too.
Yeah.
Another person you trim.
Yeah, Lolo was another good pick because Lolo's really, really good. But
she's a dark horse. You don't know what, like, here's the thing about Lolo. We all know she can compete. We know if it's a sprint, whatever, marathon, whatever, swim, she's good. When it comes down to the puzzles and like things like today that are just weird, who knows?
And Cam's smart. I think, and the downside with Lolo, she doesn't bring a lot of numbers or an alliance to the table because she's just new.
She brings one thing, and that's fear. Nobody wants to go against her.
Nobody wants to go against Cam.
What do you mean?
I think people are scared of Cam too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think Lolo, but you were bringing up she has no alliance or anything, or she brings like nothing. Like she's not working with anyone. I don't think anybody wants to go against her though, at all. Like I don't think nobody wants to step into like her in elimination tonight. She would have killed whoever was in that. I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
it doesn't even matter about the contact. Even if she gets not hit back, she's so much faster out of the blocks.
Yeah, but the problem is it's kind of one of those deals where if you don't know if it's necessarily going to be a guys or a girls elimination, kind of fucked. But like if you're with Cam, you know you're not getting the house vote.
Yeah.
Good question though, Mikey the doctor.
Casey's the only person you can trust in this game. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why I don't think it was smart to team up with her.
But why I also don't think it's a good move? Because why it's not a good move? She still has to get her skull.
Exactly.
Because you wait for that last possible moment, like for her, once she gets her skull, to go to him. That's how I look at it. But
I agree.
I don't know. Any other comments about tonight's episode?
I'm good. I think we covered a lot. I mean, there was the fight, despite our feelings on how good it was, there was definitely a lot that happened. We covered it, ton of good comments from the chat, good answers from the chat on the trivia questions. And I would think that, next week's episode in terms of quality can only be better. Make sure you guys like and subscribe.
Andy?
No, I agree. I think you could make an argument that this past hour and a half that we've been talking about the challenge was more entertaining than the hour and a half of watching the challenge. I'll leave that to the viewers to decide. But I think it was one of those deals where this episode I still wasn't a fan of, but I do think it set the tone for a lot of good episodes to come. So even though it wasn't my favorite, it definitely has me amped up for what the next couple of weeks are going to bring.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I've been your host, Trevor. Thank you guys. We will be back next week with episode 5 recap. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll be live on Periscope and YouTube right after the show. So thank you guys. Love you guys. Shout out Duffy.
Love you guys.